Ever felt frustrated being told PMS, heavy bleeding, and cramping are just normal parts of life? You are not alone. I loathed my monthly cycle for decades. That all changed when I earned 3 health coaching certifications, discovering something incredible. Your period is vital. It is an outward sign of your inner health, and it holds the key to unlocking your full potential. I've been there battling heavy, painful periods, and I turn them into cycles with minimal PMS and cramping. Today, I'm on a mission to share that information with you. Pour a cup of your favorite drink, get comfy, and grab your headphones as we embark on a candid and empowering journey of self-discovery. Together, we'll demystify menstrual cycles, explore cyclical living, delve into natural birth control, and guide parents through those crucial period talks with tweens and teens. It's time to break the taboo around menstruation and embrace the wisdom it holds. I'm your host, Heather Allmendinger, and this is the Embracing Flow podcast. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Embracing Flow. Our guest today is an expert at embracing flow. I'd like to introduce Ingrid Dick. How are you today?
I am absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Heather. How are you?
I am doing fantastic today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure and my privilege.
All right. Well, just to give our listeners an idea of who you are a dynamic and inspirational coach, author, speaker, and health commentator who helps women with metabolic and systemic inflammatory conditions, especially type 2 diabetes, reverse their disease and work towards living a life free of medications and debilitating symptoms. Ingrid's coaching, trainings, and group programs focus on an integrative, holistic approach through healing through nutrition and lifestyle. After overcoming and reversing her own life-threatening metabolic and inflammatory conditions, including a rare type of autoimmune disease, inflammatory bowel disease, type 2 diabetes, and insulin resistance, Ingrid has an intimate understanding of the challenges women face when trying to gain control of their health. That is a lot, Ingrid. Oh my goodness.
It's a lot.
Oh my goodness. And you look fantastic. And I'm sure that
Thank
once
you.
you've got all of that stuff kind of in a better position, you're feeling wonderful, aren't you?
I feel like $1 million. I feel better at age 52. Really at the kind of tail end of menopause. I feel better right now than I ever did. Certainly in my teens, my 20s, my 30s were okay. My 40s sucked. And now since I've embraced menopause and entered my 50s, I feel like $1 million. I have never felt this good in my entire life.
Oh my goodness. I ask all of my guests, at what age and what was your experience with your first menstrual period?
That's a absolutely fascinating question to me. And I love asking this to all my clients too when I get a history. When did you start your periods? I was 12. I was in middle school. So I was in 7th grade. And I just started at a new school and it was a girls' school. And so, everyone's getting their periods, but no one's really talking about it. I didn't get a lot of information from my mom. And if you're listening, Mom, sorry, it is what it is. I mean, it's awkward. It's awkward to talk about these things with Mom. And it was kind of like, my sister told me, well, this is what's going to happen and you're going to bleed every month. And I wanted to punch her in the face. I thought, you lying horrible person. I'm like, why would you say these horrible things to me? And she was just trying to help me, but she has no filter. And my mother just sort of said, well, here's a box of pads. You might need them. And I didn't have the heart to tell her, well, I've been stealing your tampons for about a year now. So I was 13 when she gave them to me. And I was sitting at the piano because I played the piano at the time. And I was feeling a bit kind of grumpy and cranky and hungry and annoyed because I couldn't get the piece that I was playing quite right. And I'm like, I don't feel so well. And I got up and there was a spot of blood on the piano stool. And it was kind of like, ew, oh, it's like, oh. I knew what was happening, but I just felt so embarrassed. I felt so embarrassed. And I just wanted to ignore it. And again, I went in and I stole my mother's tampons and I just dealt with it. But it was just kind of, yeah, I just was like, okay, this is unpleasant and I'm embarrassed and I just didn't want to say anything. I just didn't want to say anything to my mom. I didn't want to say anything to my sisters. it was just, yeah, it wasn't fun. It wasn't exciting. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm now a woman. It's, yeah, it wasn't a good experience. It was cringy. And I hope that I've made that experience different for my own daughter now.
Yeah, mine was I found out about what was gonna happen to me about a week before it happened. It wasn't as, um, I guess I wanna say traumatic as what yours was. It was just it kinda showed up, and I was like, "Oh, that's what that is. Okay." Uh, it was more embarrassing my dad
Mm.
finding out and saying, "Hey, when you get your period, you really need to clean out your underwear so we can put it in the wash."
Oh, no.
That was a little bit more traumatic for me than,
Yeah.
um, than actually getting my cycle. I was 10. So it was
Oh, that's young.
yes, it's a little bit on the younger side, but, not as young as some of my family members or even ones that I've heard of now are
Mhm.
even younger.
Yeah, I'm hearing that as well. I was volunteering at my kids' school when they were in elementary school, and I'd be doing a lot of work in the front office, in the parent room, and with the secretary. And there were girls who were coming in who were like even as young as third graders were coming in to the health clerk's office to change their pads because they didn't want to do it in the main girls' bathroom. Plus, they didn't have the receptacles for putting sanitary items in an elementary school girls' bathroom. They're not going to have that, and it's all like, especially if they're leaking or whatever, and if they're crampy, it's very, it's like, oh my goodness, these girls in third grade, and I believe there is a very obvious reason for that, Heather,
Oh,
and I really believe if you want to hear my 2 cents worth, it's because of the way we live our lives. It's all the toxins in our environment. It's our food. The food supply is tainted. We eat so much processed foods. There are so many chemicals in our foods. There's all kinds of hormone disruptors in water bottles and all kinds of other plastics that leach hormone disrupting chemicals into our food. So it's kind of no wonder that our hormones are all messed up. Our hormones are messed up and metabolic disease is rampant, and we are finding more and more young children, even 10, 11, 12-year-olds who are testing at adult levels of, like A1C, they're 5.5678. And that's going to have an effect not just on you metabolically, but it's going to mess up all your hormones. And I think that's the reason. That's just my personal belief based on some of the studies that I've read, is why our girls are menstruating sooner.
I worked for a gentleman. I'm on the same page. I worked for my one supervisor. He has a house close to a chicken farm
Mm,
and a very large
mm-hmm.
chicken producer, well-known international chicken producer. And he said to me the one time, he said, I wonder because the chicken's coming from that producer, a lot of the young kids are they're developing early and they are very well endowed.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yes.
gee, could it be the hormones that they place in the chickens to help them grow faster that
Yes.
the hormones
Hmm.
stay in the chicken
Hmm.
even after processing? We cook the chicken, it doesn't cook out, and then we eat the chicken
Yes.
and those hormones get into us.
They do, and they're growth hormones. They're growth hormones, and it's not just being more well endowed, and it's like, yeah, 10-year-olds shouldn't need a
They
C
shouldn't need a
cup
triple
going on
D bra.
right, exactly. They shouldn't need an underwire bra to hold their ladies up. That's just awful. But it's also with other diseases, particularly, cancers and those kind of things. Again, I'm not a doctor. I am a humble health coach. But we see this, the science is there to back it up that when you eat what the animal eats, because when you eat the animal, you eat what they ate. So if they're
Mhm.
all being treated with, so if they are in fact injected with, growth hormones, then yes, it is going to attach onto some toxic piece of in your body, and that's how, the that cell that is not so crash hot and deformed and whatever, will continue to grow out of control. And so it is really important. I mean, the hormones and all the toxins and the antibiotics and all the pesticides, that's going to have an effect. The pesticides and the herbicides.
Same with the plants. Yeah, because it gets into the roots of the plants.
Mhm.
So I know those that are very plant-based,
Mhm.
and they have hormones in them. They have toxins in them just as much
Yeah.
as animal products do and animal protein sources do. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
our food sources, no matter which direction you go, we have to be very careful to make sure what we eat. So before we go, where can you be found? Where can we get more information on Coach Ingrid?
That's thank you for asking that, Heather. You can go to my website, which is greengoddess.guru. My business is Green Goddess Health Coaching. The green symbolizing let's eat more green food. Let's make sure that our food is sustainably sourced so that we can take care of our planet as well, because it's having such a, industrial farming, et cetera, is having such a dire effect on our planet. So that's where the green comes from, greengoddess.guru. You can also find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram if you want some, fun, entertaining ways to clean up your nutrition and some tips from Coach Ingrid Uncensored. I also have a free download on my website, which is my Wheel of Life, which is like the pieces of the pie that you look at each piece of the pie, which represents a part of your life, and you can really sit down and figure out, well, what areas am I neglecting? What areas am I devoting too much time and energy to that's kind of putting everything out of whack? So this is a tool that I use that a lot of coaches use this tool for a reason, because it works. So I also have a free Facebook online community, which is again all about supporting each other in our journey to kick the sugar cravings and clean up our nutrition. It is called the Kick the Sugar Group. So lots of ways you can get in touch with me.
So before we say goodbye, are there any wise wisdom words that you would like to share with our listeners?
Absolutely, Heather. It is really source your food, source your food, source your food. As in, check the source. Because what you eat does impact not just your metabolic health, but it's all of your hormones. It really does. Food is medicine. And whether you're having whatever symptoms they are, but particularly when you are having PMS, particularly if you're having irregular periods, particularly if you're having heavy bleeding, particularly if you're on the opposite side and you're going into perimenopause, food and nutrition can help with that immensely. It can help. It can. I'm not guaranteeing it will help for everyone. It can help if you do it properly and if you have an open mind about it. But most of all, source your food. You need to know what you're eating because it will affect your health.
Yes. Thank you so much. Wow, what amazing words of wisdom to end on. Thank you so much, Ingrid, for
Thank you,
taking
Heather.
us on this enlightening journey into metabolic health and your first cycles and some things that we can do. All of the links that Ingrid mentioned can be found in the show notes. So thank you, listeners, for spending your time with us today. If you found a nugget of wisdom or a moment of empowerment, mission is accomplished. Do you know someone that could benefit from this information? Please share Embracing Flow with them. Until next time, love hard, laugh often, and as always, be vividous. See you soon.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Embracing Flow. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, submit a rating and review, and share it with your friends. Visit my website to receive your free PDF on 4 ways to decrease PMS. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, love hard, laugh often, and as always, be vividous.